Welcome everyone to another episode of the Tech Asia Log. I'm here with Tim and Tasya. On the docket this week, Indonesia banning the iPhone 16. So let's go around the table first and have everyone introduce themselves.
Hello, my name is Tasya, and I've done some reporting around tech, especially about iPhone 16 at the Jakarta Post.
My name is Tim. I am going to be working with Tech Asia over the next couple months, and I'm excited to learn about the news here in Asia, especially about the iPhone 16 today.
The trick question that I've got for you before we get into the reporting that you've done. So there's a tech company that's instituted a 6-day work week for executives in April 2024, citing the need to inject a sense of crisis. Try and think about that as we go throughout today. Do you know which one it is?
No way. I have no idea.
All right. So keep thinking about that. And in the meantime, Tasya, let's get right into the iPhone 16 story.
Right now, iPhone 16 cannot enter Indonesia legally. Apple agreed to make about 1.7 trillion, more than 100 million US dollars worth of investment in form of building a developer academy specifically to market this iPhone 16. Apple agreed to make R&D facilities, and they promised to establish in total of four, but until now it's only three. And also considering about the amount of investment is not that much, considering they can also build its own factories. They have plenty of other investment options, and they choose to build R&D facilitation. I think with all of these alternatives around in Indonesia, it's not that impossible for Apple to realize its investment in Indonesia.
Because as you said, like Apple is a huge company, and this kind of investment of $100 million US dollars is not that significant, but they've proven to be super stubborn in the past. We're seeing that with the Massimo ruling in the US, where they're refusing to pay for a patent where they believe they're in the right. Maybe they're digging in their heels just to make sure that other countries don't get the idea of, oh, hey, I can boss Apple around as well, you know?
Yeah, I'm fascinated by the concept of a giant corporation like Apple having to be pushed around by individual countries, rather. I'm quite interested to hear your thoughts on the broader implications this possibly has in Southeast Asia specifically. What size of country do you think has the power to push a company as big as Apple around? Or do you think that Apple was more likely to just say, we won't import to your country or export to your country if you have these rules?
The market share of Apple in Indonesia is steadily increasing over the past decade. So I think Apple have to look closely about this. They have to consider that Indonesia is growing. I think Indonesia have the power to push Apple, but Indonesia, the government still firms on their decision that they will not let iPhone 16 to come into the country unless they commit to its a promised investment, because we can see like this consideration happen both ways. So Apple, they're trying to be stubborn with our government, but our government is trying to be firm on their own regulation, because it's been regulated to other brands as well. So they implement this to like Samsung or Oppo. They push all of these other brands to build and make more investments in Indonesia. So they're trying to apply this to Apple as well.
For the basic user in Indonesia, what does this rule mean? Because I saw that there are a couple thousand iPhone 16s already in the country. And I saw differing opinions on what happens with those iPhones, and then also what happens to a tourist who arrives there with an iPhone 16 and perhaps doesn't have another iPhone handy to use instead.
So yeah, the industry ministry just made a new statement about 3 days ago. So they recorded about 9,000 iPhone 16 already entered the country, and it's true. The foreigners and also people coming from abroad who brought their own iPhone, and they cannot like say it's illegal, right? Because they already buy it abroad, they already buy it overseas. So the industry ministry said that it would be illegal for people coming from other countries to bring their iPhone 16 in Indonesia. As long as they don't sell the iPhone 16 in Indonesia, then it would be considered as illegal, as legal.
Okay. And so I don't have to, as a foreigner arriving in Indonesia, have to worry about my iPhone being taken from me.
For people coming from other country, they limit to only 2 iPhone 16. So as long as you only bring 1 or 2 iPhone, and then you come to the customs and excise and pay the taxes and also register your identification number for your iPhone in Indonesia, then you're good to go. But if you sell the iPhone 16, then it would be illegal.
Damn, my plan to become a black market seller have been foiled.
Yeah, you could make a killing selling iPhone 16s.
Okay, well, on that point, as this story shows, like Indonesia is a very important region for electronics, and this is something that the government in Indonesia is really focusing on. I'm sure you're well aware of it, Tasya. So Tim, this is a challenge question for you, but Indonesia is the largest producer of nickel in the world, which explains in part the country's importance to Apple. How much of the world's reserves of nickel is it home to?
I'm gonna take a guess of like 45%.
Oh, you're not supposed to answer just yet, but that's okay.
Okay, edit it out.
Tasya, what do you think? Like, do you know what the percentage is?
I'm not sure actually, but I would guess over 50%.
So the actual answer is 42.1%. So it's a huge amount for one country to control. And that makes it obviously the largest producer of nickel in the world. Let's finish the show off with the answer to the trivia question. So, what's a tech company that instituted a 6-day work week for executives this year in April, citing the need to inject a sense of crisis? So here's my hint. They're projected to lay off around 30% of their executives at the end of the year. They're based in East Asia. So do you guys have any guesses before I give you the answer?
Actually, I'm feeling quite stumped.
Yeah, I can't think of any guess.
All right, so they're related to the first topic that we've discussed. It's someone who's in the mobile space.
Okay.
East Asia, right? Was it East Asia?
It's not Samsung either.
Why not?
Could be Samsung, yeah.
Is it Samsung? Really?
Are you guys fixed on Samsung?
Okay, I'll take maybe Oppo. I don't know.
Is that your final answer?
I'll take Samsung then.
It was Samsung.
Wow.
Yeah, they've been having a tough time between losing market share, and Samsung phones have not been doing amazing. So yeah, it's been a bit of a rough time for their executives, and apparently 30% of them are going to disappear. So even rougher for them. Thank you so much, guys, for coming to the show.
Okay, go for Nimade Tasyarani at the Jakarta Post.
And you can find me on social media, Timothy Larson, and you'll see more of my content pretty soon, I'm sure, on Tech Asia.
Yeah, and you know where to find me. I'm here most of the time. All right, thank you so much, guys.